Says we're going live. Go to YouTube real quick. Refreshing. All right, here we go. Welcome, everybody, to episode 4 of the official NFL Rumors podcast. We are joined here by the anonymous, yet so secret and inspiring official NFLRums Twitter account. Welcome. How are you? Thank you so much for joining episode 4. I can't wait to get this episode kicked off.
Yeah, how you doing, Tanner? It's been really exciting with the episodes so far. Really exciting last week with Gary and talking about all the stuff that he had going on. So definitely was happy about that. And, we plan on getting some more guests in the future. But today it's going to be me and you and talking some football.
Absolutely. I can't wait. It was so nice to have Gary on last week. I just love kicking off this show and having some special guests, and it's really been a blessing, and I'm super happy to do it, and I really hope that this can become something big, big, big. I want to give a shout out to Anthony. Thank you so much for saying what's up. Appreciate you joining this live stream. Appreciate you. Hopefully you'll stick around for the remainder of the episode. Looks like we got about 4 people watching right now. So thank you so much, guys. One of the things that was tweeted out about this episode, I think later on we're going to announce the, was it the Madden 23 giveaway and the winner of that. We also want to cover some OBJ news and Deshaun Watson and how he has returned to practice this week.
Yeah, definitely. We'll start off with Odell Beckham Jr. because that's really the hot story. Everybody is wanting to know where he's going.
Oh yeah.
The latest that we've seen is the New York Post reported that he would favor going to the Giants or the Cowboys is what they reported. But
really,
I also heard that the Chiefs and Bills are not out from a CBS insider. So, that is definitely something. New York Post is reporting Giants and the Cowboys again is his favorite. But, a CBS insider also told us that the Chiefs and Bills are definitely still in.
Yeah, well, especially, I mean, the Chiefs and Bills are absolute Super Bowl favorites right now in the AFC. And I think we have seen how powerful the Bills can be this season. But here's the one thing about the Bills is I think that we have seen the last 2 weeks the inconsistencies that Josh Allen can provide. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes for the Kansas City Chiefs, however, year after year has been pretty much an all-pro performances. And the additions of Kadarius Toney with also losing Mecole Hardman for a little bit. Juju Smith-Schuster, I think his status is still up in the air. And wouldn't be surprised to see OBJ maybe deciding to land with the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I could definitely see that. One of the big things is like when you look at the Chiefs lately, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, we reported that Mecole Hardman is going on IR for 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a biggie there. Juju Smith-Schuster is looking like he's not going to be playing this week.
Yeah, after that big hit he took to the head.
Unless something happens here in the next, today and tomorrow, but I still don't see him playing because that was a big hit that he took. The other thing, you traded for Kadarius Toney.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's done well so far in Kansas City. So, I think that that's something, really to look at. But Buffalo had some struggles lately, right? And, I think he could definitely add something. Von Miller is adamant that OBJ is coming to Buffalo.
I mean, they're
Right.
former teammates. They were together in LA. Von Miller was obviously recruited basically to the Bills. Like he knew and felt that they were going to be a powerhouse team, and he's wanting the best of the best to be there as well. So he's trying his best to push for OBJ to come to the Buffalo Bills. Now, a guy like Odell Beckham Jr. is kind of cool because a guy with his status, and of course he's healing from that torn ACL from the Super Bowl. He is able to wait until basically playoffs or maybe before playoffs so he can learn a playbook. But like he's able to wait before he decides, and he could basically decide where he wants to play. Not many players have the choice to do that. Most players in the NFL and in their careers just pray for opportunities, like they get offers from teams. But OBJ is going to basically be able to decide where he wants. And it's kind of, if you think about it, that's kind of crazy. I mean, not many players get to decide. Like you just have offers from everywhere, and OBJ is going to.
Definitely. And I think, when you look at Odell Beckham Jr., Gary told us last week that, he's looking to kind of the way that he's hearing is he's kind of looking to put his roots somewhere, right? Like he wants a multi-year deal.
Yeah. And I did hear him say that. And would you consider a return to New York like the Giants? Because I do feel like this is kind of, the Giants are not as good as their record. So I just don't see him going back to the New York Giants. But a team like the Bills seem like they have a foundation for years to come, not necessarily in a rebuild. They do kind of have an aging secondary, but you got veterans like Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. Yeah, they are in their 30s, but they're still so good.
Well, Tanner, I just got a text and interesting news here. Todd Downey was arrested.
No way.
Yeah, the offensive coordinator of the Titans, it looks like for DUI last night.
Are you serious?
Yes.
You guys heard it here. We got breaking news. Todd Downey, offensive coordinator for the Titans, was arrested last night. This is in Green Bay, or was he on his way home? What was the situation? Do you have anything?
Let me see what we got here.
Oh, and I see it here from Rappaport, Ian Rappaport as well. See a mugshot. Let's see. He was arrested for driving under the influence and speeding. Let me see if I see what department arrested him. Oh my goodness, guys. That is insane. That is not good at all. Must be celebrating the win. Looks like Williams County Sheriff Department. So wherever that is, wherever Williams County is. That's unfortunate. I mean, they got their pass game going for sure. Last night, Ryan Tannehill carved up the Packers secondary for 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But they made Todd Downing helped make that 31st ranked offensive passing whatever team look way better than they were. So he must have been excited and was celebrating the win and got himself arrested. Holy
Definitely.
cow.
You don't see that very often for sure.
No, it's the middle of the season. You can't be making mistakes like this.
No, and he was getting a lot of praise last night from Al Michaels for the good job that he was doing.
Excuse me. Yeah. So he's going to be like, I mean, his job is potentially on the line right now. More than likely, he's going to lose it. Something like this is never taken lightly by a team.
Definitely. We'll have to see. We'll have to keep all the fans updated on what's going on there. But
Brian Daniels in the chat says, yeah, he celebrated a little too hard, shaking my head. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. So one of the things I would say, let's change gears with OBJ just a second. We kind of, looking still a lot of different areas that kind of he's thinking about. And but let's go to your Packers last night.
Dude, I'm so disappointed in my Packers. I believe it was last week or the week before. I made a video on 5 things Packers needed to do if they actually want to turn this season around and win. And can you actually hear me okay? Because I turned the mic to the side a little bit. This way people
Yeah.
can see my face. Okay. Five things that I know the Packers needed to do was obviously keep establishing that run game. And from what I remember was stop playing zone coverage, play man-to-man, put your best corner on their best receivers, like Jair Alexander. Eric Stokes is out, but you still got Rasul Douglas, who is just really good. So that was two things. I think was stop passing behind the line of scrimmage, but also run some like 5 to 10 yard posts and slants with your running backs that you can trust to catch the ball. There's just like little things, man. That was 3 of the 5 things. I can't remember all 5 things that I said, but man, the Packers are just disappointing. And Aaron Rodgers did miss several throws. Like those were on him. You can't blame the route running on a few of those.
Yeah, one of the things that I thought they did well was I know Derrick Henry still had a really good game overall, but he was averaging just barely 3 yards a carry. So I mean, they had a good game plan in really stopping him. I mean, he still ended up with almost 80 yards, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think it
But
was over 80 yards.
yeah, over
May
80
have been.
yards. He was the first 1,000-yard back this season. So definitely, I mean, he's a great running back,
He is. I love Derrick Henry, but here's the thing. If Derrick Henry was not getting 20 plus touches every single game, he always does this. He always averages like 2 to 3 yards a carry, and it's not impressive. He just occasionally will rip off a 20-yard run. Think about it. Like he gets 25 plus carries a game. Of course, you're going to end up racking up some yards, but it's like 95% of his runs are like horrible, like 1 to 3 yards, and that's it. And it's not impressive. Don't get me wrong, like he's an amazing running back because he doesn't wear down in the fourth quarter, and he just keeps going. It's like he just gets better as the game goes, like they said on the broadcast. But I mean, it's not surprising when I see him averaging 2 to 3 yards per carry in a game because that's just what he does. Like some of the things he does to me are not impressive, either if it's the offensive line blocking, but like he'll occasionally rip off that 10 to 20 yard plus run. But that's the only reason he'll get like, his average yards per carry will ever go up is because of those kinds of runs.
Yeah, I think they had a good game plan there with them, though. I mean, they
Did.
were quick there, but like you said, they're playing that zone,
God.
right? They're playing that zone on the back end. And when they play in that zone on the back end, it's not really playing to Jair Alexander's strength. Jair and Alexander went to sleep on the last play.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was just one of those things like, okay, the game is done.
It was
You know what I
over.
mean? I thought you are running the ball.
Yeah.
I didn't think you're going to pass the ball.
It was
You know
over.
what I mean? So Jair Alexander is he talked about this, with Justin Jefferson. He was like, Justin Jefferson would not have had the game against the Packers that he had if I played him man to man.
It's every single game, dude. They play this soft coverage like you're in a 2-minute drill, and I can't. I literally do not understand it. Matt LaFleur is oblivious to like he goes, my defense just can't get off the grass. We just can't capitalize, and I don't know why. I'm like, dude, how do you not know why? Your defensive coordinator is stubborn as rocks, and he will not change. He will not put man-to-man or press or what. I don't know what he does, dude. It's just bad. It's like Matt LaFleur is oblivious to how bad his defensive coordinator is scheming that defense. And I think they could be great under Joe Barry. It's just he refuses to switch from that zone coverage. And Matt LaFleur is oblivious, and he looks like you look at him on the sideline sometimes and he's like wide-eyed and what is going on? Like, I don't understand why this is happening. Like, how do you not understand how? It's just frustrating.
Yeah, well, I think they are a better off man-to-man team for sure. Even Rasul Douglas and Jair Alexander are both better man-to-man. I mean, that's their strength, right? I'll give you a good example of that, right? A really good example. Nasmi Osmawa. of the Raiders. Okay,
Yeah.
he was a great man-to-man corner, right? Like was exceptional. Pro Bowl after Pro Bowl after Pro Bowl. He went to the Eagles. They put him in a zone. He got ate alive in a zone, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not his strength. His strength is a bump and run man coverage, right?
I feel like
He
most corners
he never recovered,
excel in man to man.
right? He
I guess.
never recovered his career after that. And this guy was Pro Bowl after Pro Bowl for the Raiders, right? Like I
Yeah.
watched him. I thought he was going to be, honestly, when I was first watching his career, I was like, this guy is going to be like one of the best, you know? And then they went to a team that didn't play his strengths. That's the big problem with coaches in the NFL right now, right?
Yeah.
I want you to fit into my scheme, but instead of I and want
Adjust
to
to your
develop a
scheme.
scheme around you because you're so good.
And another thing is like it's like you see all these offensive coordinators finally adjusting to their quarterbacks. Like I think they're starting to figure that out. Like Luke Getsy with Justin Fields, and more like options, and he can run. And I think they Andy Reid and who's their offensive coordinator there, Bielemy,
Eric Bieniemy, yeah.
by enemy. Like they adjusted to the strengths of their quarterbacks, and now they're playing at all pro level. And you thought that they were going to do that with Aaron Rodgers, but it's like it's changed this year. And I realize he doesn't have the receivers he had, but they've changed it to where he's throwing 8 of 10 passes behind the line of scrimmage. Like Aaron Rodgers is one of the most accurate and best decisive quarterbacks in NFL history. And you're going to make him pass the ball behind the line of scrimmage. Like let the guy take some shots, get some new routes. It's just like adjust your playbook. And I don't know. Their defensive scheme, yeah, they're not adjusting to the strengths of their corners, and they're wasting all that talent they have on defense.
Yeah, and one last part about this is Russell Wilson, perfect example. He's great in the
Yeah,
Seattle scheme,
he
right? He
was.
was excellent. He came and they put him in the Green Bay scheme now, and told him that he has to change his game to fit this scheme. This guy is not doing well in
No,
that scheme.
and it's clear. And I think this shows the flaws that Nathaniel Hackett. Like I didn't even really like him in Green Bay. Yes, he did provide Aaron Rodgers with 2 back-to-back MVP seasons, but like he was so hot, cold, drive by drive. It's like you're either ice cold or he's medium to lukewarm or fire hot. That there's just like no consistency. And Russell Wilson ain't the quarterback to fit that scheme. And Nathaniel Hackett's going to pay the price with this job.
Yeah, and you know what? Like I heard this last week. I don't remember exactly where I heard that from the report. So
Yeah,
I apologize. But Dan Quinn was somebody that was the finalist for
I
that Broncos job.
I did see
And
that.
Dan Quinn is somebody that, hey, I think that they still have their eye on if things do not go awry.
I don't think he's. I think he's perfect as a defensive coordinator. I think that's his role. I do not believe he should be hired as the next head coach. I think it's going to be an L for any team that hires him. Now, I'm not saying that from like I don't believe in his leadership or anything. I think that players would stand behind him for sure, and I think he's a great coach. But he does not fit a head coach role.
Yeah, Michael Parsons is very high on him. He said that he is somebody that is very, very high on his list. And I've even heard this that he is a favorite if something happens to Mike McCarthy in Dallas to take that job.
And that, I mean, that makes sense. But here's the thing: is with Mike McCarthy, took that year off from coaching, and I think he wanted to really kind of focus on watching other offenses, and he's always been an offensive-minded coach, and I think he's doing pretty well there, to be honest, in Dallas. It's just Dan Quinn doesn't need the more responsibility. I think he's doing just fine focusing on the defense. I think we saw that with the Falcons. It just wasn't going anywhere. And I wasn't a fan really of the Arthur Smith hire for the Falcons, but I just don't think Dan Quinn belongs as a head coach.
Right.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take from me. No disrespect to the man, though.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's still up in the air to see if he can, take a team,
Yeah.
and take them to that next level. I want to pause here before we get into any more content, and I want to take a couple questions from the followers. Something we do each week in our segment.
Yeah, absolutely. It is time for our viewer questions, I guess. And if anyone live is watching, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in. We can cover those as well. But we do have 2 saved from Twitter when we posted, I think, like a questionnaire or a poll or something. But I'll go ahead and get that first one popped up here on the screen. Give me just a second. Here's the first question. Are the Niners a legit playoff threat? And shout out to Midwest Box Breaks. NFL Rumors, tell me what you think. Are the Niners really a legit playoff threat?
I do think they're a legit playoff threat. I think they're a very, very dangerous team, right? I think because you got Christian McCaffrey, you got he is a perfect weapon for Kyle Shanahan. You got Elijah Mitchell, you got Brandon Ayuk. You also you're looking at Debo. So the key is always going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. That's going to be the key. Can he make those plays in the big game? Can he make those throws that he needs to make to win? Because teams are going to run an 8-man front against Christian McCaffrey and make him beat him. That's going to be the key. Is he's there. Their defense is top notch. Their defensive coordinator will get a head coaching job next year, right?
And
no matter what.
They've gone from Robert Saleh to whoever he is now. I forget his name at the moment.
D'Amico Ryans, ex-Texas linebacker.
That's right. So like they're doing just fine, honestly. It's great, but like when teams start to lose these staff members, that's what really sucks. And I think that's what we're seeing with the Rams too, because they've lost important staff members year after year for like the last 5 or 6 seasons. But that's a different segment. But for the Niners being a playoff threat, yes, I do think so. Obviously, they're a competitive team, but to me, they're just like the Titans. They will contend for playoffs and a playoff spot, but they do not have what it takes to win a Super Bowl. They may make it to another Super Bowl, but they're not going to win it. And that's how the Titans are, the same way. That's just my. It's not really a hot take. It's just the way it is. And I'm telling you right now, they may somehow grind out a Super Bowl if they're lucky. But when you get to the playoffs, you get the best teams in the NFL, and you're going to face these best teams in the playoffs week after week. And like I said, they're going to be a pain in the butt. They're going to make it to the playoffs. They're going to be, competitive all the way through, but they don't have what it takes to win that Super Bowl. And I think that does lie around Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think, to me, in my opinion, Kyle Shanahan is just way too inconsistent, and he doesn't utilize all the weapons correctly.
Their defense, the defense, I will say, like, it's top notch. They got one of the best linebacker cores in the NFL. And we're going to get into this in a minute, free agents, wins and losses, shortly. But they have Charvarius Ward, which has been great. They got one of the best young safeties in the league, Hufanga.
And Fred Warner he's a linebacker.
Nick Bosa, one of the best young pass rushers in the league.
Drake Greenlaw.
Like Arik Armstead's been hurt. He's getting ready to come back. So there's another person that they have. They got Jimmy Ward that can play every single position in the secondary.
They did a really good job on retaining a lot of those free agents too.
Yeah, that's something great to talk about. Like, let's stop for a moment about your Packers. If you think about this, I want you to look at Zadarius Smith, right? When you're talking about retaining, right? Like, he's playing for the Minnesota Vikings, the team now that's in your division.
NFC
You,
North rival.
yeah, you got to retain those folks. You know, what I mean, you got to retain people like Zadarius Smith.
Considering that our really biggest threat at pass rush was uh Rashawn Gary, and he's kind of emerging. Now, just saying he had one really good season, he doesn't have a career of consistency either. So you were relying on this rising player, hopefully, to keep rising. And now you lost him for the year, and you really don't have any pass rush beyond that. I love Kenny Clark, but he's not really a pass rusher. He's more of just a run stopper and a really good one. So it's like, who do you got? Who do you got on that defensive line? You have to retain Zadarius Smith. Preston Smith has been playing pretty good, though.
I like him. Yeah, I really like him. He had a real good game last night with 2 sacks.
He did. He really
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, had a really good game. I want to give a shout out to Midwest Box Breaks. If you guys are looking for, I know that they've been a follower for quite a while. And, if you're looking for card collecting, opening packs, I know that I did as a kid. It was a fun thing. And
Yep.
if you're down with cards and stuff, make sure you check him out. He's really good.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for submitting that question, Midwest Box Breaks. Really appreciate you. You've been helping us over the last few weeks, especially, I believe. So thank you so much for that. We have a second question here. I'm going to go ahead and get that popped up on the screen.
Okay, great. So I'm going to take the first, since the question is kind of a double question.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and take the first one. We'll take the first one for him.
Okay.
George Lamont, thank you for your question. We really appreciate it. A shout out to you. Where will Sean Payton land? It's an interesting rumor that we had up a couple of weeks ago, right? And he attends Chargers games. All right, like that's he attends.
Oh man, could you imagine him there? Holy cow!
Yep, I think Sean Payton said that the Chargers is one of his wish list teams if the coach is available. Of course, he's not going to say, "Hey, I want to go there with them got a live coach," right? But he said
Right.
if something happens and a coaching job is available, that will be one of his wish list jobs.
And I believe it's going to be available. Staley is just, dude, it's so bad. Like that Chargers team on paper is so elite, and they are just so underperforming. It's not even funny.
Well,
Not
one
even
of the
funny.
big things, injuries, that's killed the team, right?
But
Injuries.
that's nothing new. That's been happening for like a decade since Phillip Rivers was young. Like they've been plagued with injuries year after year. So it's like I don't like it sucks. That is an excuse, but I don't want to use that as the excuse for the Chargers, you know?
Yeah. So let's talk about that just a little bit. So Keenan Allen's played 2 games, right? Mike Williams has missed several games. Joey Bosa has missed a ton of games, right? They've lost their whole defensive line. J.C. Jackson did not play well when he came there yet, but then he had an injury and he's gone.
He's
right?
gone for the year, I believe. Yeah.
Yep. So you're looking like at a lot of different avenues. But now when you look at their offense altogether, think about Sean Payton with Herbert, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's probably going to break probably break Mike Thomas's reception record if Sean Payton goes there.
And here's the thing: it's like I love Sean Payton I mean, look what he did with Drew Brees. People who thought Drew Brees wasn't tall enough, or the dude passed for over 5,000 yards like 10 times or something crazy like that. I mean, there's no doubt Sean Payton can be an elite offensive coach and a great head coach. And I do believe with Justin Herbert there, dude, he can have. I mean, the ceiling is exponential. And I think Staley's got to go. He's not capitalizing. And here's another thing about all those injuries. You have got to start expecting all of these injuries to happen if you're the Chargers, because it's year after year after year. These injuries don't stop. It's almost like you need to expect these injuries and sign some depth. I do like Josh Palmer, and I don't know how many targets he's been getting every game. I haven't been able to watch the Chargers much this year, but I think they need to start getting their younger guys more involved.
Yeah, DeAndre Carter's not been bad either, and they went and signed the tight end from the Rams, Gerald Everett, that had a really nice year as well.
He has been pretty good for them. I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Not like a true, like elite tight end that they could use with a guy like Justin Herbert, but I know what you're saying.
I just want you to think about this for a second, though, right?
Okay.
The offensive coordinator for the Chargers is Sean Payton's ex-offensive coordinator,
And what's his name? Do you know his name?
Lombardi.
Oh, is it? Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So listen, it will be
Huh.
a perfect fit if you think about it. Like the system's already there, right? So he just goes in and implements things and makes it even better.
This is interesting, guys. He's calling it right here. I mean, this is the most likely landing spot for a guy like Sean Payton, knowing that Brandon Staley is going to be on the hot seat sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Payton to the LA Chargers. Holy cow, dude. You're blowing my mind. This could be something huge. And like if they can keep this roster and players come back healthy next season, watch out. This could be something.
Well, Tanner is no stranger to my analytics team, right?
Yeah,
And,
you do have an analytics team.
Yeah, and they're really good at predictions, right? Like even we went on ESPN radio, and it was given a shot there at talking about how good the predictions was, and we got to talk about our analytics team, and I want to give a shout out to them. And here is what they got for me this morning: Sean Payton, Chargers, 75% chance.
Was there any other teams you think would be in contention?
The Cowboys.
Top three.
Cowboys. We ran the analytics on that. We got the Cowboys at about 20%.
20%. So what is that? 95%? Does that leave not 5% chance for another team?
Yeah, well, the 5% chances when you look at it is we got the Panthers there, right? That's the 5%.
Oh man,
but I don't think that's the reason it's 5%. Like it's got to is you're not playing with house money, you know what I mean? At that point, you know what I mean? So
that's and that would be a rebuild, man. You'd be jumping into a rebuild.
Yeah, and you don't have a quarterback, right? So that's the key right there.
Yeah.
Listen, I go to the Chargers. I've got Justin Herbert, one of the best young quarterbacks in the game. What did Patrick Mahomes say? He can make throws that I can't make, right? So come on, you know what I mean? Perfect situation, Sean Payton to come out, do his thing. Also, when you're looking at some of that, Cowboys is his dream job. We've heard before. Jerry Jones is a big fan. He's been on staff before. One of the big things there, he's got Dak Prescott. He's got a good young running back of Tony Pollard. So I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, in my opinion,
it can happen.
I think he moves teams next year.
They need to get rid of Zeke.
He's got a high cap number. He's got like a $16 million cap number.
They got to move on from Zeke. And you're right. I mean, I see Sean Payton and Jerry Jones butting heads, though. I would see them butting heads.
They could.
And that's why I think I agree with you with like a 75% chance of the Chargers. That would make a lot of sense. Because he's going to want a guy who's younger than Dak, more mobile than Dak. Well, Dak's pretty mobile, but probably on the younger side. Justin Herbert, 24, 25 maybe?
Yeah, Justin Herbert's got so much ahead of him. He's got a wide receiver one already in Keenan Allen. Austin Eckler, who we haven't even talked about.
That's true.
Like
he's another weapon.
Yeah, another weapon. Like he can just dump the ball off, do anything that he wanted. He's a better version of Darren Sproles.
I was going to say, I was like, imagine this, because Sean Payton had Darren Sproles in New Orleans, and he loved him. He loved to use him. And I don't want to say that Eckler's better than Darren Sproles. I loved Darren Sproles. I loved him so much. But it's a new era-ish, of running backs, and Eckler is fitting that whole receiving scheme very, very well. So I don't want to say he's better. I mean, he may be playing better, be putting up better stats, but I just really love Darren Sproles.
Yeah, I got you.
But Sean Payton would be so attracted to that.
Definitely. I think it's the perfect fit for him. And we run that. We run every analytics we based on every kind of news, every kind of rumor, every kind of thing we put in there into the model.
Yeah,
And that set, I mean, 75% chance that Sean Payton is a Charger from our analytics team. So
man,
we'll be interesting to see what
man.
happens.
Yeah,
Not a source, all right, not a source has told
not
me,
a source, guys. It's a
just the
rumor.
analytics, just the
That's
analytics team, right?
analytics suggest
Yeah,
75% chance of Sean Payton to the Los Angeles Chargers. If Brandon Staley loses a job, probably going to.
yep. I say it will be very hard with Sean Payton wanting to take this job to say, "Hey, Brandon, I want you to come back and do this." And you got Sean Payton, somebody that the Chargers are seeking to win a Super Bowl, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, we do have another question here from a live chat, and it looks like it's Brian Daniels again. If you want to answer that, are you good for that?
Yeah, go ahead and let us know the question.
Sweet. With Hopkins' news injury, any thoughts on Hollywood Brown's return this week?
Well, Hopkins, we reported last night that he's got the hamstring injury. Now, those can be very tough, right? To see if he can play.
Yeah,
He's trending right now to be out. At the moment, but now that could change. He could still play, but we've not heard that Marquise Brown is ready yet. But he has been moved from injured reserve, right? So he could play if that. Robbie Anderson is a really interesting one. Robbie Anderson has done nothing,
oh man, I forgot he's there.
nothing since he's came to the Cardinals.
You're right.
Absolutely nothing. I think he has less than 50 yards since he's been to the
Oh my
Cardinals.
gosh, let me pull up his stats real quick. Yeah, I think you're. I forgot about him, bro.
Yep, yep. There you go. Robbie Anderson's really not done much. AJ Green has not done much of nothing there. I
Dude,
mean, he's made a catch. You know
eight.
what I mean? In a touchdown last week, and I think he had less than 10 yards.
What week did Robbie Anderson get traded?
And there's a week at the trade deadline, like right at the trade deadline, real
Which,
close
do
to it.
you know
That's
which
about a
week that
month
was?
ago,
So
probably.
maybe let's see, like
Probably
week
at least
6 or
he's been there
7.
3 weeks, maybe three,
Yeah,
four
week
weeks.
6 or 7. He's had what 1, 2, 3, 7 targets as a Cardinal. He's had 7 targets, 1 catch. What? Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I was looking, and the reason I know this, guys, is he's on my fantasy team, right? So I was like, one of the things I was looking at the other day. I mean, I cut him right because
Yeah.
he's not getting any targets, and now you got Marquise Brown potentially coming back, right? You got Marquise Brown, so I mean that's going to hurt his targets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. That is something else.
yeah. So when you look at that is something else. And another one, just to talk about real quick, we tweeted out yesterday. Robert Quinn has
Yep.
played 49 snaps since he's came to the Eagles.
I saw that yesterday.
Yep.
What are your thoughts about that? Or is he just trying to adjust to the playbook?
Possibly, but I mean, I don't know why you would trade for a guy like Robert Quinn and not use him. It don't make a lot of sense. You went and traded. You went and signed
Yeah.
Ndamukong Suh yesterday. You went and signed Linville Joseph as well.
Which those are both guys that are like 34, 35 years old.
Yeah, Ndamukong Suh, one of the things that he's always done, and it's for everybody to watch, he makes the person next to him better. The reason why he might not have the stats that he did once had, but
Right.
he takes the blocks. He has to have a double team because of his strength. He has to have a double team because of his get off on the ball. And you have the Eagles who have a slew of talent on the defensive line.
They really do. And it's good that you say that because Ndamukong Suh is like, I mean, look at what they did with the Buccaneers. I mean, you had him and another veteran like JPP,
Mm-hmm.
and dude, they won a Super Bowl. That defense went from like last to first
Look at
when
Aaron
Brady.
Donald. Aaron Donald's awesome. Now let's just not say it was Sue, but Aaron Donald can play with anybody. But he was better when Sue was there because
Oh, with the
they
with the Rams.
yes, he was better when Sue was there because they had to eat two people up front with the blocks.
That's true.
Yeah.
I forgot he played for the Rams, dude.
Yep, he's really good. He's really good. And now you put him there with some of the talent that the Eagles have
Yeah.
on the defensive line. I mean, they are strong on the defense. Jordan Davis, who will eventually come back from an injury, like he is
Forgot
a
about Jordan Davis.
huge player, like huge player that you're going to have. So that is really big. And I just want to take a moment and just run down some of the when we talk about the defensive line, right? You got Brandon Graham, Robert Quinn. Let me tell you who's going to be excel from this though. Fletcher Cox. Because you
Yes.
cannot double team him anymore, right? Like you have to Sue's going to need a block there as well. So Sue and Fletcher Cox together.
And is it safe to say that they're pushing for a Super Bowl right now?
Definitely.
This is the year. I don't think anyone. I did not have the Eagles doing this year, and I think this loss that they suffered against the Commanders does show a lot of their flaws. But they're not going to waste this opportunity. They know for a fact that with at 8-1, they're almost at this point guaranteed a spot in the playoffs, and they're not going to waste it. I think they're trying to buy all in and do that Rams method. What the Rams did last season.
Well, and another thing too, I would keep an eye. I know Gronk says he's retired, right? But something I might keep an eye on.
No.
Something I might keep an eye on, right?
No way.
Is hey, he's a ring guy, right? He likes rings, right?
Yeah.
And what if you was to say, hey, you know what? We got an amazing team here. We could use some depth at tight end with Dallas Goddard out.
I
Right?
don't see it. I don't see it, man.
Hey, you
There's
know
no
what? I mean,
way.
I'm just saying, like, he is a ring guy, right? And I think, Tom Brady says he is really retired. Rob Gronkowski is really retired.
Rob Gronkowski says he's really retired.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, you never know. Richard Sherman says he was really retired on the Amazon broadcast, but he said, hey, he would take a call from a contending team to play corner or safety.
Yeah.
Right. So, hey, man, when you get to that point, like some people get the little wide eye when it comes to getting close to a ring when you get close if they think
That's a good point, man. It's never out of the question, I guess. Could Rob Gronkowski be like Eagles, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown?
Yeah, if they do, Tom Brady might fire him from modeling his clothing line.
He might, dude.
Yeah, because that's what he does. He's a model for his clothing line. So,
excuse me. So tell me this real quick. What do you think about the Eagles running back situation? I don't trust Miles Sanders. I don't think he's that great.
Miles Sanders, I like him, but I'm not like 100% sold, if it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not either.
But Miles Sanders, one of the things I will say, like he's never had 25 carries in a game ever, right? So, that's something, right, to think about. Like, hey, you got to give him a chance, right? But like I'm going to tell you one of the big flaws in the Eagles on against Washington, they quit running the ball. You know what I mean? So Miles Sanders did not get very many carries in that game. So, I mean, you're looking at that. Miles Sanders is a free agent next year.
They're probably like, oh, we have an MVP candidate quarterback. Let's just keep throwing the ball. And that's usually sometimes a game plan that you can't forget about all sides of your offense. You know what I'm saying?
No, I want to move to this game real quick. And I know we're kind of moving around a little bit, but the Bills, like everybody was excited. They were telling me like, messaging me on Twitter, and I was like, hey, man, we're going to get a snow game. It's going to be crazy. But the NFL moved this game to Detroit, right, at 1 o'clock. Yeah, that's horrible. I know why they did it, because of the fan safety. I understand that, but people would have loved to see that snow game. And let me tell you something, the advantage would have been to the Browns. Right.
You think so?
Yeah, because they do not have a running game. When you're in the snow, you have to run the ball.
The Browns do have a running game, or you mean the
Browns have a running
Bills?
game. The Bills have no running game.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is their leading rusher.
Yeah.
right? And are you going to let Josh Allen run in the snow? You know what I mean? No. I mean, he's got to be healthy for the playoffs.
Here's
And
the thing about Josh Allen. I don't think he cares sometimes. I think he just does what he wants. He's taking some hits this year.
yeah, one of the things that you want to think about right now, Buffalo's in third place in the
I know. I
AFC
saw last
East.
night that they were actually a wild card right now.
Yeah, they're
What?
yeah, right. But think about this: if something happens and if they sleep on the Browns or something like that, and the Browns end up beating them, like
Yeah.
their chances, the Jets are really good right now. They're playing really well,
Right now.
and yeah, and Miami is, Miami's man doing stuff that hardly anybody's doing right now offensively. So, Miami's right there. They got a lot of weapons on offense and defense, and like you have to win games. I mean, just if you get in a bad way,
Yeah.
you could be out in this AFC quick. Now, I'm not saying Buffalo will, but will that make Buffalo say, "Hey, you want a couple year deal, Odell Beckham Jr.?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, maybe he is that missing piece that now that you want to have. I mean, if you add him to three receivers, I mean, that's going to be huge.
You got Gabe
With
Davis,
Utah,
Stephon Diggs, who are both just really good.
Mhm.
So
They need a running back, man. I don't know
God.
why. I don't know why they didn't. They went and got Naheem Hines, but he's not more of a third down back.
Exactly. He's more of like a third down back. He's not a workhorse running back. They needed a guy like possibly Cam Akers.
Yeah, they need to. I don't know why they didn't pull the deal on Cam Akers. I really don't. Or I think that they should have pulled the deal also on, maybe even somebody like Benjamin for the Cardinals. That was picked up on waivers from the
Yeah.
Texans. They could have traded for him at the deadline. I'm sure the Cardinals would have traded him over to him. You got a lot of different avenues. Why didn't you trade for? I know Mike McDaniel ended up trading for Jeff Wilson. Jeff
Mhm.
Wilson was there to be moved. I mean, you got a lot of different people that could have been moved.
Because I don't think Singletary's all that great. Zach Moss, he's gone. I think
Yeah, he
he's
went to
to the
Colts.
Colts. Yeah, and then you got James Cook.
Yeah, I thought James Cook will be a lot better than he is.
I thought he would be the guy here in Buffalo, and I think he
Mhm.
still could be. I mean, yeah, he had that fumble like the first game of the season, or a few fumbles, but like he's a rookie. You got to give him some chances, and I think you got to. I mean, they got to find that running game, and the only way to do that is to give some guys some carries. I think James Cook can be the guy, but yeah, they didn't pull the trigger on a running back, like a workhorse running back, and
That
that's their fault.
Listen, I think if you talk about Buffalo, and I really like their chances, don't get me wrong, in the playoffs, I really do. Really like the Bills. And as a fan, you really like to see the Bills win a Super Bowl, right? Because they
Yeah,
lost 4 Super Bowls. For that fan base is amazing. It's like unlike any other fan base
yeah.
that they are. So you really want to see them win. But one of the things that might haunt them in the playoffs is the fact that I did not go and get a running back.
I thought that was self-explanatory. I think everyone thought the same thing. Like, dude, the only thing missing right now for that team is a good running back.
Yep. They
And
were
they,
in on the Christian McCaffrey trade, as
but
we
he's not a
reported early
workhorse.
on.
I think it's clear now from the last few seasons he's not a workhorse back. He's more of like that third down back to me. He's elusive and he's like a receiving threat, and he can be a good rusher. It's just he's not a workhorse. He'll get injured.
Well, he
That's
has
my
had an
belief.
injury history. He has had an injury history for sure. The 49ers are indebted to him now, what I mean, because of what they paid to get him. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Oh
They're
yeah.
they're indebted to him for a long time. So that's what we got. Now we're going to move gears to Deshaun Watson real
Mhm.
quick. Deshaun Watson, who's practicing for the Browns, he was
Yes.
able to practice based upon the protocol, and he is scheduled to be the starter with the Houston against his old team, the Houston Texans.
In
Right?
week 13, I believe.
Yep. So the Texans and Deshaun Watson against Deshaun Watson. I'm very interested to see how the crowd takes him in Houston.
Do you
You
think it's
know,
going to be cheers or boos?
I think it'll be mixed. I think people will be surprised. I think it'll be a little mixed, right? But we, of course, we don't. He's not been proved guilty per se of
Yeah.
anything. But you know what? There are a lot of people that thinks he is, right? So,
Right.
that
Yeah.
is something that, it's interesting to see what happens. You might even see a few signs out there, out in front of the
Oh, that's
stadium when he
true.
starts playing.
You're gonna have a lot of signs out there. Yeah, I think you're right. It'll probably be a mixture because he did provide Houston with like a lot of spark with his time there. I mean, when it didn't they go like 10-6 one year with him?
Yeah, Deshaun Watson's a elite
Like,
talent. Let's just not,
yeah,
not separate that. I mean, he's an elite talent. The problem was nobody wanted to invest in him because of his legal situation, right?
yeah.
And the Browns did. The Browns are indebted to him no matter what they do.
That's
They
such a Cowboys thing to do, though.
Yeah, that's true. The Browns are really, I mean, he's in Cleveland, right? Like
Yeah,
they've got you're talking about a $200 million contract. So, that's Browns really went all out to get him. So now we'll see if he's able to take the Browns to the promised land, right? They got Amari Cooper, was one of the steal trade situations in the off season. He was a
he's been
steal.
surprisingly good in Cleveland. I didn't think any receiver that goes to Cleveland is going to be that great, but
Well, another one, Donovan People-Jones is lighting things up too right now.
yeah,
So now you got two receivers. Deshaun Watson is got that are really good, right? That he
yeah.
can throw the ball to, and you got a great running game, which makes things tons better with Kareem Hunt and also Nick Chubb. So I mean, he's got one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. Like
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson's got a lot of good things that could go right for him.
I think they just got to get that defense figured out because I think it's been pretty bad, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, the secondary is going to help them out a lot. Where they got their war back, so that's gonna help them big time to keep on getting better and better there. I think the Browns could end up surprising a few people. On some games. I'm not saying they make the playoffs,
Yeah.
but I think they could maybe play spoiler a little bit with some teams
Yeah.
with Deshaun Watson there. So I think that is something. And I wanna jump in, Tanner, and I'm gonna get your thoughts on this as well. And this is our free agency win and loss segment, right? So
Okay.
I'm going to start out. I'm going to give the wins and the losses. I'm going to start out,
Go ahead.
with that. So one of the biggest wins I have is Juju Smith-Schuster to Kansas City.
Okay.
He
Not
has
bad.
he's on pace for 1,100 yards and 4 touchdowns. Thoughts?
Thoughts? Get him more involved in the red zone. Needs more touchdowns, I think.
Mhm.
But I didn't think he would make that big of a difference. So I would have been wrong on that one. But he has been a heck of a playmaker there. I always thought they spreaded the ball around too much in Kansas City. But without necessarily replacing Tyreek Hill, they've done a heck of a job. So that's a win.
Right. So I'm going to talk about some of the other ones here.
Okay.
Is this is a loss. Chandler Jones to the Raiders, a half a sack on the season.
That's it.
Yep, 0.5 sacks on the season. Chandler Jones. He had 4 sacks in one game, if I'm not mistaken, last year with the Cardinals.
Yeah. Well, to me, if you sign with the Raiders, that's a L decision, anyways. That's just not good. I don't think you go there and someone just really shines and performs. It's just not a franchise where you do that. In my opinion, it's kind of like the Cleveland Browns. You don't go there and just shine, in the middle of your career or at the end of your career. There is some exceptions like Amari Cooper, maybe Deshaun Watson when he plays, but Chandler Jones, man, if I'm not really sure I think he chased the money rather than a ring. People were high on the Raiders. To me, I don't understand why, but yeah, you're right. That's a lose. That's a lose free agent signing.
Yep, I agree. Right now, that's a big loss. The next one I got as a win is Christian Kirk to the Jaguars.
Win.
Christian Kirk, everybody was like, "Oh wow, why do you pay a guy like that?" They was really getting on in free agency. It was really big about
Yeah.
what they were doing. He actually is on pace for 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Win. Overpaid, but still a win.
Yep, definitely. That is a really really good one, and he's going to be he's the number one option there for Trevor Lawrence,
Yeah.
and so
And he should be for years to come because what in his contract, like 4 years, $70 million or something crazy like that.
well, yeah, he got paid to the upper tier. Everybody was really surprised about it.
Yeah, I honestly think the Jags probably just offered like this much more than another team did, and he's like, "Why would I not accept that?" I think they could have offered less, and he'd still accept it. He probably wasn't expecting that kind of offer, and of course, he's going to jump on that. But yeah, he's overall that's a win.
Yep. So the next one I'm going to go to is J.C. Jackson. I have him as a loss, and one of the big reasons I have him as a loss is because of the injury, right? Like I know it's an
Yeah,
injury, but he was supposed to go in and be that number one corner and for the Chargers,
that's a
and
loss.
it is a big loss. And when he's played, he's not, he's allowed some touchdowns there. You know what I mean?
And
So
I feel like I could have told you that he is a product of the New England Patriots system. And we've seen that before with like, was it Logan Ryan? I believe he was with the Patriots and was good there and never really lived up to that anywhere else.
you're talking about the Super Bowl MVP guy too.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, he
So,
was
I
good
mean,
too.
the Patriot system can take an average player, not trying to disrespect any player, but can take an average player and coach him up to be a star. And JC Jackson saw a 5-year deal on the table and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna accept that offer."
Yeah, he
I think
was really wanted, man, in free agency. He was really wanted.
I know, but I think it was a loss for any team, to be honest, because I don't think he would have lived up to a contract that he signed, and he's not obviously because of the injury. But I just think that's an L overall. He can
Yeah,
be a heck of a player, but right now it's a loss.
he could be one of those situations we talked about earlier as well. Like you're putting in a system that doesn't agree with them.
That's true. And
Yep,
their defense honestly is not living up to par anyways, and it wasn't when they were healthy. So
yep. So we're going to go to another win. DJ Jones signed from the 49ers to the Broncos.
DJ Jones, yeah.
Yeah, he's rated the best defensive tackle, one of the best defensive tackles in the AFC right now.
I haven't had a chance to watch much of that, so I'll have to take your word on it.
Yep.
So I don't really have an opinion, but you tell me what you think.
Yeah, he was really good in San Francisco. Really good. He set the tone on the defensive line there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's went to Denver and done the same thing. He set the tone. Two of the biggest, best free agent signings for the Broncos has been DJ Jones and Kawhi Williams, both from the 49ers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so both
I
of
know
those
Kwan
guys has
Williams.
been really, really good, and DJ Jones has been very outstanding there for the Broncos. So I'm going to go to a loss, Allen Robinson to the Rams.
I called this. I called it, man. People were so high on Allen Robinson, drafting him in the freaking, I don't know, like sometimes I saw him going in the 3rd to 4th to 5th round range, and I'm like, come on, guys. I saw this happening. Matthew Stafford, I saw it last season. Didn't he lead the league in interceptions, and he's doing it again this year? Something like that. Super Bowl
Well,
slump, whatever you want to call it, or he's just not. Yeah. People were like, no, it's just because he's on the Bears. I mean, the dude hasn't had 1,000 yards since like his 2nd year in the league. So call it what you want, but that's a loss.
well, we'll really get to see this week if it is, right? Like right now, we have him as a loss. He's on pace for 550 yards this season.
That's terrible.
But we will get to see now with Cooper Cup out. He's the number one.
Presumably, whatever that word is.
Well, we hope.
Allegedly, he's going to be the wide receiver one, but we're just going to have to see. I don't see it.
Yep. One of the biggest surprises that I had down as a win is Dante Foreman for the Panthers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's been great there.
He's on pace for 850 yards and 6 touchdowns, and that's after playing just like probably missing 4 to 5 weeks of the season. He's on that pace.
Yeah, because Chris McCaffrey was there for the first third of the season. So
And this dude was really good for the Texans too.
yes,
Yeah, that like this dude was, when he played, he played well for the Texans. So, and he's really came back and he's doing a good job. And I'm happy for Foreman because
I was
I love these
high.
stories.
I was high on Foreman when he was drafted originally from the Texas Longhorns, I believe. Who drafted him? It wasn't the Texans, was it?
Yeah, I want to say I think it was the Texans who drafted him.
Okay, well, I was high on him as like a future product in that offense. But I guess he just was played out his contract or something, his rookie contract.
Yeah, he played football at Texas and was drafted by the Texans in the 3rd round.
Okay, yeah. So I thought he could really be the guy there, but I don't think they used him enough. And I think he dealt with some turnover issues there for a little bit. But kind of stepped up, I think, last year, and then this year, yeah, definitely a win for the. I don't think they expected him to be that good. And I actually heard like on the broadcast, like last week or the week before, he was thinking about retiring, and I believe his late father, was talking to him before he passed away and was like, if you get the opportunity, you take it and you run with it and you do the best you can. And he said when the Panthers called or the Texans, I forget. I think it was when the Panthers called, like, hey, let's give you a shot. He's like, I'm doing this. So
Well, I think it's been really well for him, and
yeah.
I really like what he's did there. I'm going to mark this one. I know I got a little bit of flack on this one, but Julio Jones, I'm calling a loss, right? Julio Jones is a big name that could have went to your Packers, right? I mean, he's a name that could have went to Green Bay.
Could
He
have.
could have went to other teams, right, and
Yeah.
possibly being a number 1 wide receiver. Right.
My thing is like, I'm going to call it a loss too, because no matter where he goes, I think he was going to be dealing with some injuries.
That's what happened again this year.
Yeah. He's just dealing with injuries. And you will go to a Brady offense, he's going to spread the ball around. So that's why I consider it a loss, because you're not going to get those kind of targets in a Brady offense, especially with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. So he could have gone somewhere else and it could have been a win. But.
Yeah. One of the things I would say that he's on pace for like 400 yards for the season. So definitely we had to call that a loss for the moment. I've got 2 more wins before we announce the Madden winner.
Okay.
Is Travarius Ward to the 49ers from the Chiefs. Ward, he's rated the 2nd highest cornerback in the NFC.
I did not like him that much on the Chiefs, but when you take a guy like that who does have a lot of ceiling and you take him to the 49ers, no, I mean, that's great. I mean, they have a great coaching staff, defensive backs coaches, and obviously a great defensive coordinator. So that's a win.
Yep.
Obviously a win.
Yep. And a couple more just really quick. Texans, which was a great pickup, is Jerry Hughes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. He's been great there.
6 sacks.
He's been really good. And he's like, isn't he kind of older?
Yeah, a little bit older. Played for Buffalo for quite a while. He was kind of phased out a little in Buffalo. But when they had some draft picks, he went to the Texans and done some big things, right? Done some big things for that defense under Lovie Smith.
Yeah, that's a win there.
Yep. Last one that I've got here, and of course, sometimes you have to save the best for last, right?
What you got?
James Bradbury from the Eagles to the Eagles.
Ooh.
James Bradbury is rated the top corner in the NFL in coverage.
Yep. Yeah. I wasn't high on that move, honestly, but when you got a guy like Darius Slay across from you, I think Darius Slay has really improved Bradbury. Honestly, just terrific. I can't say enough about Darius Slay, one of the most underrated players in the NFL throughout his career, and I think he's making other players around him even better. Obviously, I'm not going to try to take away from coaching or anything, but in the skill that Bradbury possesses. But yeah, he's been great there. That's a win.
Yeah, and one of the things I like to follow up, I know the Texans have 1 win, right? Yeah. I know they just have 1 win, but I want to talk about what their GM has done there, right? Not only do they go get Jerry Hughes, right? He is really Jerry Hughes is like, he's been great, but they had an excellent draft, Like
Yeah,
they
they
had
did.
one of the best drafts that they are. I want to talk about that just real quick.
Yep.
Damon Pierce is possibly going to be the rookie of the year, right?
So good.
Yeah, so great pick, running back, doing an excellent job, going to be there for a long, long time. Also, when you look at that, we're going to move on, and they rebuilt their secondary, right?
Is it Derek
And
Stingley?
Derek Stingley Jr., right, from LSU, he's had
Yep.
his ups and downs, but more ups than downs,
Yeah, for
right?
sure. Yeah, he's been
Jalen
good.
Petrie is one of the best young safeties in the NFL.
He is. He's been playing really good. Lights out.
Yep. And one other I want to add that he went and got from it was Christian Kirksey, who actually played for your Packers for a little bit,
Dude,
but
yes.
was really good for the Browns, but he was really good for the Packers too.
I love Christian Kirksey. I've always like rooted for him. No matter where he goes, he's just consistent. I feel like, he can put up 100 tackles this season. And he can actually make the plays like open field tackles. And I mean, he's got some spots where, he can definitely improve, and he can miss some tackles here and there, but like everyone does. That's a win, in my opinion. Anyone that signs Christian Kirksey, I'm a big fan of his, honestly. So that's a win.
Yep.
I'm gonna call it a win for any team that signs him.
Well, right before we get to the mag giveaway, my analytics guys has got one more thing that they gave me this week, and it's for the future.
Okay.
For a future free agent in the future. And I was like, well, great. 65% chance Jimmy Garoppolo goes to the Texans.
I mean, that's logical. Davis Mills hasn't been putting up the numbers he did as a rookie. Now, I'm sure that percentage can change, right, based on the offseason and everything.
Yeah, right. Percentage can change based upon the offseason. Anything we get in, feed into the model. But 65% Jimmy Garoppolo goes there. And one of the big driving forces in the analytics, the guys told me, we had the GM for the Texans that drafted him in New England.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was one of the big driving forces there. They were telling me. Not only that is, he's looking for a starting job. I mean, Trey Lance is going to come in and be the starter next year. We all know that. I know a lot of 49er fans, and they're ready for Trey Lance to jump in there and take the Rams, see if he can do
what Justin Fields what happened to him, man.
Yep. Grant Cohn was not a big fan of what happened to Trey Lance. I watched this podcast. He thought that, it was unnecessary to keep on running Trey Lance he did. So, like Shanahan did. But, he was trying to win. So I'm kind of on the fence on that one.
Yeah, but it just happens. It's an accident.
Right. But if you add Jimmy Garoppolo, a game manager, let's just be honest, that's what he is, a game manager. Add Jimmy Garoppolo to the Texans, who have a run game. They can run the ball, right? They have Brandon Cooks, who he can deliver the ball to. Add a wide receiver, you got a number one pick. You got 2 number one picks.
I think so, yeah. I think that they could definitely represent a 49ers type of system. A run first, but good defensive, because they're I feel like for the most part young on defense, and they got some good set in stone guys that they drafted this year, some rookies. I think that could be a really good fit for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yep, and I think that could be it. Brandon Cooks could end up being one of the top commodities too, though. He might not even be there, but Brandon Cooks could be one of the biggest trade values in the offseason, because the free agent class. Well, honestly, the top free agents, Juju Smith-Schuster, who said he wanted to sign back with Kansas City. So if you remove him from the equation, you're going to have to make a trade to get you a good wide receiver, like what we call a one wide receiver, right?
Yeah,
a 1A wide receiver, and Brandon Cooks will be one of those, right? Brandon Cooks will be
I think so.
The guy that everybody's going to go for, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's accurate. And I believe the Texans were one of the teams that were rumored to be in on trade rumors for Garoppolo anyways this year. But the 49ers hung on to him. It's almost like they saw Trey Lance injury happening. So it's kind of weird. But
that was really smart. I have to give them props on that.
I mean,
they would have been in a bad spot if not,
But if Lance was still starting, Garoppolo would have be on the bench right now. It'd be a waste of a season. So
Yeah, but putting Garoppolo in there, I think, with the Texans could end up being good if you add
I do
him
too.
another weapon at wide receiver. Maybe they got a young tight end too named Brevin Jordan.
Yeah, and they got Nico Collins, Tyron Johnson, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that other? They got Brandon Cooks, but obviously, let's just predict he might not be there next season.
Yeah,
And then you got the draft as well. So
drafting, I think that's going to be their big thing. I really do. I think if the Texans don't draft a quarterback,
yeah.
another quarterback, they will draft a wide receiver.
Oh, for sure. They got to get some
Yeah,
weapons. And if they don't draft a quarterback in the early rounds, you know that they're planning to trade for someone.
definitely.
I don't think they're going to have full confidence in Davis Mills again.
Well, give me a second. I'm going to put all the names here. I got a little randomizer.
Yeah,
And,
for the Madden giveaway.
Yep, just to make it fair, I put all the names in here, and I'm going to put everybody that was in here. I've got their names on a list already, and best of luck. I'll be reaching out to you and mailing the copy of Madden. It's a steel book
Okay.
and a copy of the game. So I wish you the best of luck. And
Drum
I'm
roll.
beginning it right now.
All right, guys. We are giving away a Madden 23 copy. So good luck to all contestants. And we're putting all your names in a randomizer. So let's see who we get.
Matt Miller.
Matt Miller.
D. Miller. I will be in contact with Matt Miller and message you, and we will send you a copy of the Madden. Congratulations. We do have the giveaways a lot here, guys. They're legit. They're not like others which you don't get anything. I'm just going to be honest. There are a lot of people that's got a lot out there that we actually give. There are a couple of them that they sent me pictures of some of the jerseys that they got, and they're very happy with them. So.
Yeah, and if we ever need to, guys, we can always pull up a screenshot on our streams of us providing these giveaways that are legit. So no phoniness here, guys. We are trying to provide you guys genuality with our podcast, and hopefully this can be something that we continue to do pretty frequently.
Yeah, we'll see if I can gather a jersey for around Christmas and do a giveaway. And
that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do there. But I think we covered some great topics today. I've really enjoyed the talk today.
I did too.
Yeah, and the podcast is doing great, guys. Honestly, we want to see more people get on the YouTube and watch it.
Yes,
we want to see more people getting on the Apple podcast. But as far as watching the podcast throughout, we had actually over 20,000 people on Twitter watch the podcast throughout so far.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. You know what I mean? I mean, for us to be kind of new in the podcast game, 20,000 viewers is pretty big stuff,
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And the support has been unreal, guys. And we continue to, like I said, we're trying to do some learning curves every week. So stay patient with us. But we are trying to provide you a weekly podcast. And it's not going to be, we do have a script that we try to stick to, like the giveaway, talking about some winners and losers. But overall, guys, we just try to have fun with these conversations and cover maybe some trending topics that you guys may actually want to talk about and listen to. So if you made it this far in the podcast, we both thank you very, very much. It's just something that, like, from the bottom of our hearts, like, we're grateful for. And I'm grateful to be a host here on the NFL Rumors podcast.
Definitely. Tanner has definitely been there with me for quite a while. And he's really knowledgeable. He's really good at getting the news. He gives you every tidbit of every news out there. So he's really, really good. He's really he's worked with Josina Anderson. He has worked with the 33rd team. I mean, there's some big names in there that he's worked with.
Yes,
right?
Sir.
And one of the things that we've done is we put three interns. One of them currently work at CBS. The one works at NBC, and I have another one works at ESPN Radio. So so that's three interns that we grabbed that have moved on to greater things, and I'm happy. I mean, I'm happy to pay it forward that they can go and do that. You know what I mean? And
that's great.
At a stopping point, That's a starting point, stopping point. That's exactly what we want. And
Yeah.
we're going to have more guests. Aaron actually was going to be here today. Aaron Wilson, big shout out to him.
Yep.
Covers the Texans, and that's why he's going to talk a lot about the Texans with them, and that's why we had a lot of Texans convo ready.
Yeah.
What happens? He's actually there at practice right this
Yep.
morning, so he couldn't join us live, but he's going to work and tape an episode with us real soon. So you'll see Aaron Wilson, the National Insider, pretty soon on the NFL Rumors podcast.
Yeah, I've talked to Aaron Wilson quite a bit. Really good guy, genuine guy. He's pretty straightforward, and he's been real with me about everything. As someone who's trying to grow inside, the insider game and everything, he has been there for me, answering any questions, and he's just been a straightforward guy. So I appreciate Aaron Wilson, and when we do get to record an episode with him, we'll be happy to have him on. We do plan on having more guests, and yeah, so I think we're going to have a pretty good guest list. Been in talks with some players, maybe seeing if they could come on the show.
Yeah, talking about some really key players. I'm talking right now. Just can't give any names because they've not gave me 100%.
Right.
But I'm talking to a Charger. I'll just say he is a shutdown corner for the Chargers that is talking to me about joining the podcast, and also a star running back for the Ravens has talked to me about joining the podcast. So in the future, we got some. I just got to give them some time to get some things situated. So we'll be looking for that for the future.
And I did reach out to someone on the Packers, and he's one of their star players as well. He replied, not at this time. He's good. Just wants to focus on the season. Totally understandable. But maybe in the future, I'll try again. I'm just grateful that he got back with me. He's been really good about that. So, but we do plan on having some good players on the podcast, guys, and providing you guys with some really good content.
Definitely. Tell them, Tanner, where they can find everything for you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the love and support so far and the shout outs from me. You guys can find me on Twitter at Tanner Phifer NFL. Phifer, Phifer. My Instagram is Phifer Football, one word. Got about 55,000 followers on there, so I have a great community on there. Guys, join the official NFL Rumors Discord server, because we have combined our fan bases, and we're trying to provide you guys with a wonderful community to chat about the NFL anytime you want. And we have a fantasy football section in there. Going to be doing a lot more with the Discord server. You can find the links to all of the social media down in the YouTube descriptions. So I appreciate you guys very, very much. Appreciate the NFL Rumors team for having me on, as always, hosting this podcast, and been a great friend so far. You got anything to add, man, as I play this out?
Yeah, well, just go in, and if you ain't followed, definitely give us a try and see if you like our content. The NFL Rumors on Twitter, NFL Rumors on Instagram. Definitely, check the podcast, see if you like us. Tell us what you don't like, what you do like. We're always open to feedback to see
open to feedback.
Yeah,
guys, absolutely.
We're always open to get some of the things that you want to talk about. I mean, you know what I mean? We're just having a good time here, and we want to be very, very thankful to all the followers. Without you, we could not do it. And we got some really good things planned in the future. I mean, we're growing the account. NFL Rumors is almost 180,000 followers.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And I started talking to you. I met you when you were around 20,000. So
yeah,
that's insane. I saw the potential, and I was like, all right, this account's trending all the time. I'm seeing it everywhere. I was like, I'm gonna reach out and be like, bro, what are you doing? How you doing this? And honestly, I didn't expect to have a friendship from it, but it's been great since then.
Yeah, definitely. Tanner's a good close friend as well. And one of the things that I will say, Twitter actually sent me a shout out, which was great. We hit 1 billion impressions for the year.
Jeez. Of the year?
Yeah, for the year, 1 billion impressions.
Gosh. So I thought you meant like all time, but no, that's just this year.
Yep. So really happy about that. And just keep on the lookout. We're going to try to be there for all the news, everything that we can find out for you. And we just keep on doing our thing. We've done it for quite a while, and we're going to keep on doing it. And we're just glad to have you.
Man. Yeah, guys, we are so excited for this podcast and the future of this podcast. And you can always submit questions on Twitter, DM us, or send us any questions or business inquiries, I guess, to nflrumorspodcast@gmail.com. I'm gonna play us out, and if you don't mind hanging around after that, I'll chat with you. But guys, that's gonna be it. Listen to this outro once again. Appreciate you guys. Listen to us on all platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple. We're on, I believe, the Android podcast. We're on, I think, Stitcher and all these other platforms. So thank you guys. Much love, and thank you for the support.